say, I have just one wish. It's Olympia. I hope you see me in Olympia stage this year. I promise I show my best version in Olympia stage.
All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power, and we've got the final results for the 2025 Dubai Pro. I wanted to wait a couple hours between the prejudging video and this video because it was so close together. I think within about an hour, maybe an hour and a half of prejudging ending, they already did the finals in the awards. Like it blended straight through from prejudging to finals. It was very, very quick. So realistically, nobody really had a whole lot of time in between prejudging and finals to really improve much or change really anything. It happened so quickly. And I think that's why the results that we got here for the Dubai Pro were exactly as we predicted at prejudging, because of the fact that not much really changed or was able to be changed after prejudging. So the top five, Behrouz Tabani picked up the win here, now qualifying for the Olympia for the fourth year in a row. And hopefully this is the year that he actually gets to compete. But, I mean, honestly, it seems very unlikely, which is a shame. William Bonac wound up taking second place. Tonio Burton wound up in third, which I was glad to see because I thought Tonio looked incredible. And I was surprised at the same time because at no point during the prejudging did he even get to stand next to Behrouz Tabani, but his score on the scorecards are the same for prejudging and finals. So I thought it was weird that somebody in the top three was never stood next to the clear winner, which was Behrouz. And I really wish that Tonio would have gotten that opportunity. But on the other hand, I do actually think that William Bonac really brought it here, and he deserved that second place. So in third place, Tonio Burton. In fourth place, Nathan Diasha was able to come up into fourth, which was interesting because when prejudging started, it seemed like they had Mo Fuda ahead of him, possibly having Mo Fuda as high as second or third. But I think it really was the back poses that really lost it for Mo. So Nathan wound up in fourth. Mo Fuda wound up in fifth. And Rubiel Mascara did not place within the money. Neckzilla was outside of the top five, placing sixth. So he wasn't even able to match last year's showing where he took fourth. Now, in his defense, this was a much more competitive lineup. You had two more guys that were not there last year, Tonio Burton and Mo Fuda, in that top five. But last year you did have Behrouz, you did have Bonac, you did have Nathan. So not only was Neckzilla not able to improve enough this year to beat any of those guys that beat him last year, but he also was unable to beat the two newcomers to this show, Tonio and Mo. Again, possibly showing that he has a really hard time coming in shape. And I want to talk a little bit more about Rubiel because we talked a lot about him in prejudging. I think that was a big focal point of this show. He's become quite a big name, quite a character, a guy that people are excited to see compete. And look, rightfully so. Rubiel is one of the freakiest guys that we've seen in a long time. He's got crazy body parts, maybe some of the craziest legs I think we've ever seen, even compared to somebody like Big Ramy. Even without the separation in those quads, just the sheer size of his legs and his calves actually match. Potentially some of the wildest legs I think I've ever seen. Just not very detailed, not very separated, but from a size standpoint, just absolutely ridiculously big. And I said this in the prejudging video, but I felt like he was lucky to even be in that six-man call-out, just because of the fact that once he stood next to those other five guys, the five guys that we now see all placed ahead of him, you could see very clearly he was nowhere near the level of conditioning of any of those guys in the top five. And I think that's a testament to how freaky he really is, because I think in a sense, he's undeniable. He's so big and he's so muscular and he's so freaky and commanding on stage. I think that's what put him in that call-out, despite the fact that his conditioning was off, despite the fact that his proportions were off, despite the fact that he just didn't seem like he belonged, to me, he didn't seem like he belonged in that grouping because all of those guys in that top 5 were in phenomenal shape. Then Rubiel just kind of on the end didn't look really up to snuff with any of them, in my opinion. And I think it's a testament to how big and freaky he is. That's the reason he was in that call-out. So he definitely has the size going for him. And it feels almost like a broken record because I've said this a lot over the last year about Neckzilla. And I know it might come off harsh, but I feel like this is the criticism that he needs to listen to. And I know he blocked a lot of the bodybuilding media channels, including myself, last year when we criticized his conditioning. But that criticism is so that he can do better. And I feel like just if we just say, well, he was a little bit better than last year, so that was a win for him. I don't think it was, because last year he was so bad conditioning-wise at that show that saying he was slightly better this year is not really saying much. I feel like the message that needs to get across to Neckzilla is the conditioning needs to make a massive change, a massive improvement from where it's at, not a minor improvement from year to year. He really needs to step it up to a completely different level from where he's at now. And I understand that he's relatively young. He's new to the IFBB. He's not new to bodybuilding, though. He's not new to competing. He competed a good amount in the other IFBB, so I don't want to treat him like he's just a young rookie bodybuilder that really needs to take years and years and years to find his groove. I don't think he's that new to where you could say that's an excuse for him not being in shape the second time around. And I will also say, to Rubiel's credit, I saw an iPhone video of him on stage from this year's show, and I do think he looked a lot better on the individual iPhone video than he looked on the live stream. I don't think the lighting was doing anybody any favors, and I don't think the live stream quality was doing anybody any favors when it comes to bringing out their condition. However, when you see him in the lineup and not just see him standing alone, regardless of the lighting, regardless of the quality of the stream, you can clearly still compare his condition to everybody else, and it was still clearly way behind. But in the much higher quality version, this iPhone video, where he's just alone, he doesn't look horrible. Like, I wouldn't quite say this was guest posing condition. He did look better than last year, but last year to me was like straight up guest posing condition. So like I said, looking better than last year is not like a huge benchmark for him. It's not like it's not that big of a deal because it's a pretty easy mark to beat. But when you see him on his own in the higher quality videos, to his credit, he does look better than he did last year, and he doesn't look guest posing condition. I wouldn't say he looks horrible. I mean, he was still top 6 here out of how many guys? I believe there were like 14 or 15 competitors in the men's open. But I think this is the thing that we need to watch for from Rubiel as he continues to compete. And I hope that he takes this criticism the way that it's intended, because I think if he brought conditioning like what we just saw Behrouz bring, he would be a very difficult bodybuilder to beat with the size that he carries, even with his proportions being off. As big as he is, if he brought conditioning like that, he might have won this show. So I'm not saying it to hate on Rubiel. I'm saying it because I think that's what he needs to do. And I'm also saying it because now we're kind of seeing a repetition of this, where he comes in, he's got a lot of hype. You know, he posted a lot of updates where he looked, you know, in some of them he did look crazy, like the magic mirror pictures. And as I kind of expected, he didn't look anything like those magic mirror pictures on stage. But I think we're starting to see kind of a pattern with Rubiel, like we saw last year, a ton of hype going into the show, skipping all these shows beforehand, blowing them off, committing to them, and then not showing up. Then all this hype going into Dubai last year, and then he kind of drops the ball and just kind of blows it, and he's really out of the conversation completely for the win. And it feels like the repeat of that, the same thing here. I was still hearing people say, "Oh, this is the year. He's really bringing it. I've seen, you know, behind the scenes pictures of him. This is the best Rubiel we've ever seen. He's finally on top of that conditioning. He's going to win this show." I've heard people say that for the last couple weeks. I just didn't really buy into it. And I feel like we're starting to see a pattern with him where it could be a thing where maybe he just can't get in shape. Maybe it is he's got crazy thick skin and it's hard for him to really show that detail. Or maybe he cheats on his diet. Maybe he has a hard time following the instructions. Maybe he's not super disciplined. It could be something that he could fix, or maybe it's something that we never see him fix. And I just think it's something we need to watch for with him, because if we see him do a couple more shows and we see this happen again and then again, maybe he does become one of these guys that just lacks the ability to come in this crazy condition. He could be like a Victor Richards type of guy that just is a mass monster, legendary bodybuilder from the standpoint of just the mystique around him, the hype around him, but never delivers a major title win, never becomes one of the top 5 guys in the world. Uncrowned Mr. Olympia, sometimes they call him, even if they're not really in that territory. And like I said a couple of videos ago, before we even saw the show, I said I would love nothing more than to see Rubiel come in and prove everything I've said wrong, and we see just a peeled to the bone Rubiel that's the freakiest bodybuilder we've ever seen, and he comes in and wins this show. Because I think if he did that, it would be probably one of the most exciting moments in bodybuilding. But I had a feeling that's just not what we were going to see, and it wasn't. But I do think he has a ton of potential, and that's why I want to hammer this point home, and that's why I spend so much time talking about this, about Rubiel, is because I do think if he fixes this conditioning thing, he will be a massive threat. Again, even with the imbalance in his proportions, even without having the prettiest structure, if he is able to combine that crazy size that he has with like a Behrouz Tabani level of condition, we absolutely will be talking about Rubiel Mosquera as a first call-out Olympian, and that's why I want to see him actually do that. I'm just starting to get the impression that we might not see that, and we should kind of level our expectations to that. Maybe the pressure on him is just too high. Maybe the expectations are just too unrealistic, and maybe he is just going to be kind of a massive bodybuilder that just kind of ends up being a mid-tier guy and maybe never delivers on that full potential. But I think that's the point. If he does deliver on that potential, it would be a crazy day in bodybuilding history. But that's why I haven't been hyping him up. That's why I haven't been saying he's the next big thing and he's going to come in and dominate, because maybe we are setting the expectations too high for him. Maybe that's just not what he's going to be able to do, and we're kind of raising the ceiling that he's going to be the next crazy freak in bodybuilding, but maybe he's just not. And I also wanted to talk about Behrouz a little bit more, because Behrouz really impressed me here. I know we talked a lot about Neckzilla at the prejudging video and not as much about Behrouz, but Behrouz, from the moment he walked out on stage into that first call out, to me, he was hands down the clear winner, which in a lineup like this is a very, very impressive thing. And I think it just kind of reinforces the idea that Behrouz belongs on that Olympia stage. I have no doubt in my mind, if Behrouz is able to compete at the Olympia this year in 2025, no doubt in my mind he would be top 6. This is an elite level physique. He's made improvements over the years, but again, this is the 4th year in a row he has qualified for the Olympia and possibly will not be able to get there. He even said in his acceptance speech, his victory speech after winning the Dubai show, he has one wish, and that is just to be able to compete at the Olympia. And it also feels like this very heavy moment as well. Like all the stuff that just happened very recently with the Iran situation, now the U.S. getting involved. And for an Iranian bodybuilder to come in and be this undeniably good and pick up a victory like this in a crazy lineup like this, and really the whole bodybuilding world just kind of came together and it seems like unanimously agrees, yeah, this guy absolutely crushed it. We don't care where he's from. He belongs on the Olympia stage. This guy, that's what undeniable is. That's what Behrouz has become, especially with how controversial that situation is right now in that part of the world. For him to be this good And for pretty much every bodybuilding fan, no matter where they come from, to just kind of universally agree, he absolutely crushed it, and he belongs on the Olympia stage. It feels like a very heavy, significant moment, especially right now. And I think it is. I really think it's tragic if he's not able to compete at the Olympia this year, because regardless of where he's from, I don't think anybody disagrees that he is one of the best bodybuilders on the planet right now. And that's what the Olympia is supposed to be about. The best bodybuilders in the world competing against each other. And it doesn't feel right without Behrouz there. I think without a doubt he would be top 10. And I personally think without a doubt he would be top 6. And I also personally think that this package that he brought to Dubai might honestly be his all-time best. So he's in the peak of his career, 4th time qualifying for the Olympia. If he's not able to do it, man, it just really kind of sucks. I think he's better than he's ever been right now. He looked like he'd brought up his legs a little bit more. He brought crazy conditioning. He just delivered on everything that we expected from him and more. And I don't think it was really even close between him and Bonac. It was actually a 5-point decision, so it really wasn't close. And no disrespect to Bonac. Bonac looked fantastic, but again, back to the undeniable thing, I just think from the second Behrouz walked out on that stage, it was crystal clear who was winning this show. And he was actually leading prejudging by 4 points, 3-7, which is that is extremely commanding. Then at finals, 4-6 for a total of 7-13. A pretty commanding victory here. And again, this is one of the best lineups I think we've seen all year. You look at the Arnold, the New York Pro, the Pittsburgh Pro, the Olympia. I would say this was probably better than New York. I think I would go that far to say that. This was a better lineup than the New York Pro. I can't really say it was better than Pittsburgh or the Arnold or the Olympia because there were no Mr. Olympia champions competing here. But I would say this is the 4th best show, the 4th best lineup that I think we've seen all year. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm sure you guys are probably as excited as I am. I mean, this was a good day to be a bodybuilding fan. I mean, this was an awesome competition, an awesome lineup. You got to see some freaks. You got to see some guys that you don't typically get to see because they're not able to compete in U.S. shows. It was just a really fun day to be a bodybuilding fan. And you had the China Pro as well. You had 2 pro shows within 24 hours, and it was I think it was just exciting. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my 3rd YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.